Hello, happy Sunday. We interrupted our usual weekly broadcast to bring you the most important question, an incredible question, a question that needed some answering. But before we go there, my name is MK Fleming. I am the founder of Fitness Protection Program. One of the things I like to say all the time is that we are never really talking about the running. And we are for sure not talking about the running at all tonight, because this question I got requires the big guns. This is not a question I'm qualified to answer at all. But if any of you have any advice for this poor woman, we would love to hear it in the comments, in the context of the podcast. We want all the feedback, everything that you can say, everything that you can share, because goodness knows no one should have to suffer alone. And we're going to be talking about this for a real long time. To bring in the big guns, as y'all know, here we go. That person, the biggest gun we could possibly come up with, is Dottie Kinsey, known as the school nutrition dietitian. Got a couple more here. This is Nakia. Wait for us, Nakia. Yay! Clearly, I don't know how to use all this yet because I still got people like bouncing around. Here she is too. All right, I got everybody here. I'm going to learn how to use the software later. Here, I think I know what I'm doing, and then I mess it all up. So we got Nakia is going to read this question to us. The two ladies that we also have with us are Tiff McDuffie. You guys, you've seen her back during the Holiday Strength Challenge, the founder of Purposeful Play, and her friend Emerald, who also lives in Milwaukee and does amazing stuff. We're going to hear probably their opinions right away, but we're going to hear more from them and about the work they do a little bit later in the broadcast. But hit us hard with this question, please, Nakia. Do you receive it? It should have hit your inbox a minute ago.
Checking for it now. Sorry, I'm checking both just in case.
Don't worry about it. I think it should have gone to your Yahoo.
This hard-hitting question. It's hitting my mailbox slowly, but it's coming. Check in. I promise my internet's working.
Is it not there?
No.
So
no.
much suspense.
I know. I'm checking. I might have to read it dramatically from my phone if my phone picks it up before my PC does.
Here, I'm sending it again.
There we go.
Yeah. All right.
All right, I'm opening it now. Is it a Google Doc?
Yes. It's highlighted. I highlighted in the Google Doc and assigned it to you.
All right.
Underneath the big guns.
Yeah, I've got to get into Google Docs first.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You might have to spill the beans, MK.
Yeah, you might have to. Can you send me like something that's a little more, because I'm not in that Google. I don't have a Google Drive attached to that PC.
No. Okay, sorry. I'll just go ahead and read it. I apologize, y'all. Here, I mean, it's been that kind of day, clearly.
That kind of month.
All right. Nothing has gone according to plan, but we're going to roll with it anyway. And I'd still love to hear what you have to say about this, Nakia. You are a pretty big gun yourself. Hello. I need some advice. If you don't mind asking the big guns, it's going to take more than you to solve this, MK. I broke up with my boyfriend 5 months ago. It seemed like it would be okay for him to move out when the lease is up in the summer. Yes, this seems crazy in retrospect, but he is not the most proactive person on the planet. And I travel a lot for work, and he looks after the cats. So it worked for a while. Plot twist, coronavirus. You guessed it. We are now in isolation together in a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm very lucky. He's a kind person, and I feel safe cohabitating with him. But FFS, the only reason living together worked post-breakup, and honestly pre, is that he worked 150 miles away during the week. All the things that are annoying about him are not getting any less annoying, considering that we are now stuck together nearly 24/7. How do I do this without losing my fucking mind? Please help. Sincerely, Locked In Lisa. And to add a layer to this, I had to remove a lot of identifying details because I know this person, and I think all of us, obviously not Tiff and not Emerald, but we have encountered this person at one point or another. She lives in a country that where the lock it's straight up lockdown.
Oh, so he can't move out right now,
and won't be able to for like months.
Oh no! Well, I want to say that
they can't leave. They can't go more than 2 kilometers away, like anywhere, and they can't leave the apartment building, 1-bedroom apartment.
Wow. I'd like to blame her friends for allowing this to happen, because I don't understand why he couldn't just move out. Like, you could have paid someone to watch your cats. And I'm sure you mentioned this to someone else and they should have told you that this was a no-go. So I blame them. And man, I really wish Jimmy was here, because it sounds like this is going to be a tremendous opportunity for growth. Like Jimmy explained in the, stop laughing, okay. Like Jimmy explained in the special pandemic episode, the universe has a funny way of giving you opportunities to grow that you're not interested in. I'm sure that's not exactly what she said, but this is what happens when you're not here, Jimmy. You get misquoted. That's how I remember it. So I would say you're going to need to really set some boundaries. Even if someone's in the same space as you, you can work together to say like, hey, if I'm wearing this sweater, that means don't talk to me. And I'm just going to pretend you're not here for maybe 12 hours. Like you can do it, especially if you are able to communicate so openly with him that you can explain, this is not ideal. You understand we were breaking up for a reason. And I like you as a person, and I don't want for this to get too ugly, but we are really going to need to give each other a lot of space, even though we physically cannot give each other space. Maybe. This is so bad. I was so curious about what the question was because you didn't tell us in advance. And oh boy, well, my heart goes out to you.
It was like, these are the days of our lives. Like, I just thought it was perfect. And I wanted to make this an ongoing series where we check in week by week to see how Locked In Lisa is doing, like #free Lisa. And if you do have some advice for us or for Lisa, please use the #free Lisa so we don't miss it. And let's hear anything any of you ladies have to say. Go for it. Throw it out there. She needs all the help she can get.
Lisa.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Lisa. I agree with the whole, where were your friends? Where were they?
Right?
Like, and if those people are still in your life, find some new ones. I don't know how, because you're currently in lockdown, but just next time phone a friend. But as someone who hypocritically has gotten back with a boyfriend, maybe it'll work out. I mean, look at the positives here. Like maybe you guys could grow together. I always like to look at the bright side.
I think that's called Stockholm Syndrome.
Well, I would like to know how broken up, like how official is this breakup?
Oh, it's done.
It's done. There's no salvaging it.
Well, and even if you're using Tinder in Italy right now, nobody can come visit you. So
that's true.
It's not very helpful. So I would recommend, I think giving this as much space as you can possibly make within a 1-bedroom apartment.
Maybe pillow forts.
Yeah. And I do like the ideas of a different shirt color. Like if I'm wearing even if it's like a certain hat, like just wearing something that kind of signals to the other party, like, look, I'm not with it today. Like, do keep that nonsense over yonder. Because after a while too, I can only imagine like hearing the other person breathe could probably make it pretty bad. So like, I hope that maybe you have a balcony, that maybe you could potentially lock this person on.
They can run a marathon.
Yeah. Like, there's creative ways of doing things. Maybe every single day you have to be the one person that goes to the grocery store in your neighborhood. these are, but man, what a time. And I mean months. It's going to be months. But I also don't understand why you waited on letting him move out. I would like to know more there because, like, it just, maybe there is an opportunity. Maybe you don't really hate him.
To answer that, it wasn't the easiest thing. His name was on the lease. And like she said, he's these are some of the details I had to cut out. He isn't super proactive. So it just sort of didn't happen. It's the holidays, didn't push it. It's the new year, I'm traveling, didn't push it. Oh God.
Yeah. Let this be a lesson. Please do not forget this lesson, because if you had opportunities and you decided not to push it, let's just take that in. And him not being proactive, since you're broken up, that's his problem. Let's let that be his problem. But you let it become your problem, and now it's really your problem. So let's just not do this in the future. We're going to charge it to the game. This is tuition. And now you know, and in the future, this can never happen to you again. So that's the good news, is that this can't happen twice. The bad news is we don't know how long this is going to go on for, but I really would try and have a very open conversation with him about how much this is not ideal and how much you're going to need him to pretend you're not there so you can read in peace or work at home in peace. I hope you have ear plugs or like noise canceling headphones or something.
Wow. You guys are so nice.
Oh, what else can you do though? Because it sounds like if they're not quarantined in the United States, if this was here, I would say just tell them to go get something from the store and change the locks. That would have been my solution. But it sounds like if you do that over there, I don't know, you might get arrested, or it's probably not an option. Like you literally have to do exactly what you were told. Stay in that 1-bedroom apartment together. I don't know.
Well, if I could chime in, I think at first it's not uncommon, right? I think I was received something from my PR person just the other day that a New York Times reporter was reporting on this very same thing. Has the corona crisis made you randomly be living in close quarters with an ex, and or are you stuck in the house kind of with someone you can't stand? I have a family member who lives with her mom, temporarily moving in between states, and her mom, sometimes it's our parents who's a narcissist, and her mom is, and she's stuck there. And so literally, I think it is a call to everyone to just stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Recognize that something crazy could happen at any and every moment, and so you need to plan accordingly, but also just a test of patience, a test of setting boundaries, a test of communication skills. And she put herself in this position for whatever reason. We all have reasons why. She has a reason why she's living there. I'm going through the middle of a divorce, and we definitely have grown more mature in this space. We had like all these stringent rules about whose day it was with the kids and what's going to happen in the time. And I'm always fun loving. So I'm like, whatever, rules, schmools. But we were like really like on it. And now, because we also share business, it's like, okay, we're going to be an adult. We're going to make the best decision for the kids. So I think it just depends on the people. And since she is stuck, I guess I would tell the kids, do what you got to do so you can do what you want to do. You got to get through this period. Sooner or later, you'll be able to do what you want to do. But for now, you better make the best of it, or it's going to be a long wait.
Emerald, anything you'd add to that? Oh, let me unmute it there. Anything you'd want to add to that? Oops, you should be.
Yeah, I think the ladies did a really good job of, what the options are at this point, and what the lesson is. I think I would probably add just to pull out the journal and have a really introspective time during this whole process as to, what is happening. It sounds like, just what's happening internally, and what are the lessons that you should really be getting in this time. I think any time, I love that Tiffany talked about the narcissist parent, and I mean, there are people who you just sometimes you can't even set good boundaries with because they don't respect them. But even in those situations, sometimes that's where extreme growth can happen, and where you can really learn a lot about what yourself and what you will or won't tolerate in the future, or what is important to you. So it sounds like it's just a good time for her to be reflective on what is going on with her to cause her to stay in any situation that it's not the ideal situation for her, and just what's going on with her period. I think is sometimes we do things that seem like they're not a big deal because of how we are wired, and later on in life that thing that wasn't a big deal becomes a big deal because we are more in tune with who we are. So I think I would just throw a journal on top of what everybody else said and allow her to be that a time for reflection.
Wow. See, fun fact, Tiffany and I know each other because we share a publicist. And I think both like Amanda and Andrea would be like, ugh. This is why Tiffany gets on TV and I do not. And reporters don't talk to me, because what my immediate reaction was, go back to college. I was that roommate that was like, if you leave me alone, things are going to be fine. If not, where do you think I got one of the podcast coming up this week? I discussed some of the tactics I call introverting in public, where you make sure nobody wants to talk to you. He's like, oh my God, I know where you're going with this. Before I ever practiced that at the swimming pool, I did it on a couch in a living room with 6 roommates I didn't want to talk to. And
this won't work with someone who's already seen it before.
Well, that's the thing. You got to know, I lived with people who were exceptionally clean, and I would scare them away. I learned when it came to sharing things in the fridge, I made sure that I developed tastes for things that nobody would ever want. Cherry Diet Sprite. And everybody smoked because it's college and you did. So I started smoking Benson and Hedges Menthol Light 100s, just like your great-grandmother. My great-grandmother used to anyway. So like there was no one was stealing my cigarettes, no one was stealing my food, no one was stealing my drinks, and no one was coming anywhere near me. I had like strategies. I had like a force field around me when I moved through that space. And I was able to develop that force field, not based off of specifically me, but in response to, if I buy Diet Coke, they're going to take it. I buy Diet Sprite and put cherry in it. They're like, oh God, no one wants to touch it. If I get the really cheap tab, they'll be like, all of a sudden people act like they can't see it because it's like a poor person food. So like, depending on what you do, if I buy ground beef, I would do it in a tube because they were not going to buy, they'd be like, oh, I'm not cooking that. Like, okay, you go ahead and be too good for it. That's exactly what I'm counting on. So I'd like, you might have to go somewhere twisted, but don't be afraid of that. And this is why like Self Magazine doesn't want to hear what I have to say about how to deal with the breakup in the coronavirus era. Let your pubes hang out in public, wear something really tiny. People are not going to come sit on a couch once they've seen, like they just, I mean, I got that is just the tip of the iceberg of the story.
I'm just assuming this is an opposite gender couple and that this is a cis man who didn't want to make arrangements to live elsewhere. But if there's something about their dynamic that made it so uncomfortable to just say, get out, figure it out, go down to the office, get your name off the lease, figure it out, I would imagine that their dynamic makes this so excruciatingly awkward, because I would think once you've decided it's over, that's the hardest part. Dragging it out to me is the most difficult. There must be something that he does or something that she responds to that makes it intolerable to, I don't know, see him upset or looking dejected or whatever. So that's probably part of the problem. Like, it's easy to dump someone who's treated you like garbage. It's harder to dump someone who's still nice and you just don't want them anymore. Yeah. And maybe she feels guilt about making him feel continually rejected. So that's probably part of the problem.
I would also recommend getting a digital therapist or like a chat therapist. I know that there's a lot of them available and a lot of them are making things free during this time of just uncertainty and that you can't get to your regular therapist or whatnot. But I would highly recommend having someone like other outside of your friends and things, because that would be a great person to kind of coach you through, those day-to-day interactions where, that little annoyance that just made you want to break up with them now becomes the thing that just completely tips the scales, but you can't go anywhere. They can't go anywhere. So
yeah, we don't want to see you on the news And
Yeah.
we'll be like, you know what? I'm pretty sure that must be her, even though
That must be
we
Lisa.
didn't have her name.
Yeah, Lisa's gonna be locked up, Lisa for real.
Yeah, Lisa's gonna be locked up, Lisa, for real. I just now, MK, don't get me wrong. I always think that your tactics are super effective, and I think that they are hilarious. And I mean,
They work. Yeah.
Emerald, she'll be mad about me saying this, but Emerald is good at being petty, so Emerald could probably pull some of them off. But I also think she's intelligent enough to know if you're really stuck with this person, like if a person was doing all the things they knew would piss me off and we got to be in here for 2 days, I mean, it would turn into a violent situation.
Oh,
So
I didn't
we
say pissed off. I didn't say pissed off. Gross out. Scared.
Well, there's a fine line. And if I'm stuck in and I'm grossed out and then I'm probably gonna be pissed off. Yes.
Haven't you ever wanted to hit somebody who was smacking at the table or like snorting or whatever? Like that's some people's reaction is anger when they see something gross. Okay, that's my reaction.
No, that's me. That's me. Like, you get to a point where I'm like, somebody's got to go. So maybe we should need to find a way to get him in the hospital that's not her fault.
Yeah, I'm like that's why I'm like the mental hospital. This is part of like my inner female anger, right? I'm always judged for my reactions. So I just wait for that moment where it's like, oh, I can't say anything. If I say anything, I'm not going to have. So I've got to make them want to. I've got to make them volunteer to do this thing because if I ask, I'm never going to get it. Ergo, so that's where my brain goes to this twisted place, and I get these effective ideas where it's like it's been a week, and they're like, you know what? I don't have any parents, but I'm moving in with my second aunt, twice removed. She's still alive and is on a ventilator. So bye.
Or she could, since they can move within the building, maybe she could like pay somebody to live next door.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or
it really would suck if they happen to be infected already, though. So I'd be afraid. This is a tricky situation.
Yes.
I'm just saying I would make it work for me. Because everyone's here for my entertainment. I've lived with them for a while.
Miserable. Life is too short to be miserable, and I think that that's the lesson that we've learned. That our friend Lisa has learned is, you got to move. Like if you're already miserable, it's only going to get worse. Like at no point does it all of a sudden snap and get better. And it sounds like this person isn't able to fix what annoyed her, or just can't because it's who they are. So life's too short to be miserable in this situation. I would try and find any avenue. Hopefully there's an empty apartment. Hopefully y'all start living on different schedules. They
might end up having to do that therapy together, because if you do the remote therapy by yourself and he's in the corner like, is she talking about me? That's gonna be so awkward. And if it was too awkward for you to say, listen, Bubba, get out of my house, I don't really care.
It's real awkward to do therapy with him.
Hello. Yeah. So now you got to go to therapy with him. Yeah, this is rough. Let us know how that goes.
Breaking up together. I mean, it was a sitcom, right? Breaking up together. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm burning some sage.
Did that last?
I don't know. I think
it didn't, because people didn't relate to the concept.
Well, because it was a Danish or a Swedish TV show where.
Oh, I didn't see the original. Okay.
I didn't see the original. I just knew the themes probably wouldn't resonate as strongly, because I'm like, here, it's much easier. Granted, the mobility is a privilege, but it is much easier to skirt this and sublease and sublet and make changes than it is in a lot of other countries.
Yeah, that didn't even occur to me. I thought they were supposed to be like one of those conscious uncoupling types of couples. I didn't catch that maybe where the story originally came from, you really can't just move out.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I'm glad that's not us, because I just can't imagine. I'm not mature enough, and I haven't had to be that mature, and I hope that never happens to me. There's some level of pettiness I plan to cling to. I don't think it's harming me. I'm not ready to evolve like all that. So when I'm done, like if I'm broken up, we're broken up. We're not friends. Like maybe if it was, well, it depends. Sometimes I think it has a lot to do with like relationship dynamics with men and women. Generally, I feel like, well, if I've broken up with a man, we're done, buddy. Like, it's however you treated me that made me feel like we couldn't be together. That also means you're not good enough to be my friend. But I guess not everybody dates bad people. So sometimes you break up because your lives are just headed in different directions. I guess I wasn't that good about picking them until I got the one I got now. And I do keep in touch with like female exes because usually when you break up, it's just, I don't know, you're friends before and you're friends after. It's different.
There's not a single ex of mine that we were friends before, and I needed them for anything afterwards. So I don't know. It was like, it's
don't
done.
let the doorknob hit you, and that's it.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm a patient person, all of you have experienced in one form or another, or it's the sort of thing like, yes, I'm strong, and yes, I am very like abrasive at times. But if you kind of get in, it takes a while to talk me out of something or out of someone. So that point always has to be like, okay, it's almost always like I've got to ask, what was the straw that finally got to you? Because I've been watching this for a while, MK. I'm like, yeah, I know. If I just give a little, then like, no. And then there comes a point where it's just like, I don't even know what was I doing? I don't even know what I was doing.
Everybody is just so different. I really would love to hear more details about Lisa's situation. I was listening to a show just today about how everybody's fear response is different, and that people who are more likely to freeze, like if your preferred fear response is just being frozen, then you're more likely to be the person who stays in a job way longer than you want to, a relationship way longer than you want to. And then when your friends try and talk to you about getting out of it, all you can think about is, but what about this complication and this and this and that and that? And all you see are all the things you have to do. I want you to speak to this. So we have someone who has that. My fear response is anger. So I would just be like, that would never happen to me. A whole lot of other bad stuff will happen to me. Like my mother said, she voted me most likely to be beaten to death by a partner.
Your mother?
Because she says if you find out something bad has happened and you have the opportunity to move in the middle of the night and it to be a quiet thing, you're not going to take that. You're going to say you're going to wait until everything's safe, but then you're going to flip out and you're going to be beaten to death, which is a horrible thing to say, but she's totally right. Luckily, the person I'm with now would never do that. But
where did this superlative come from? Like a family reunion?
What? oh. No, she means like among of all the children at like all the cousins. So all of her sister's kids and most likely to be beaten to death, because when I should be like freaking out, I'm going to be confronting my abuser. But yeah, tell us about why that resonates with you. Like what happened?
So it doesn't apply to everyone, but to people that I love. So whether it's in friendship, relationship, family ship, what have you, I'm an empath. So I'm an accountant by trade. So I'm paid or trained to think about the ramifications down the line. And I don't only think about how things impact me, but how things impact the next person. And then I do a lot of work in like social emotional education for kids. So I'm always looking for the why. And I had to understand that just because you know why doesn't mean you need to accept something, and that you can let go or be dragged. Like I'm like kind of this walking affirmation right now, because Emerald will tell you, and many times she's had to repeat the same thing to me like 8 times. And I'm just like, well, but what about this? And what about that? And she's like, would you accept that from anybody that you didn't know? No. Okay. So why are you accepting it from people that you didn't know? Well, because I know their backstory, and it's twisted, but literally, yeah. So in normal circumstances with a random person, my fear response is fight. It's really never flight, but it is certainly freeze with people that I love, because I'm just like, wait, stop, wait, what happened? Wait, why'd that happen? Wait, and all this whole thing. And honestly, I didn't even recognize that it was freeze, because I'm very much an action taker. But whenever I'm in like major discord with someone who I actually care about, I'm sleepy. and sleep is a freeze response. I
Yeah.
think it's just emotionally, like physically overwhelming. And so I'm just like, I'm just gonna take a nap and wake up and figure it out. Luckily, I've recognized that and I've learned to work past that. So I know like when it's happening, like, oh, now's not the time to freeze. Now's the time to fight, or now's the time to flight. Ain't no time to freeze. Nothing happens in the freeze. You know what I mean? Gotta take some action, but it is definitely intuitively freeze because I'm an empath recovering.
Recovering. I don't think you need to recover. I mean, it's not that I'm not going here to tell you what to do, but rather I think that being an empath is a superpower. So that's why my trauma is complex trauma, CPTSD. So my instinct, and there are 7 different F responses, like one of them is fatigue. Mine is fawn. So if I'm really nice, I can not control or mitigate the situation, but if I get scared, then I think that I can somehow calm the monster that's scaring me. Meanwhile, in the back of my head, I will flight once I'm positive I can do so in a way that I'm in the middle of the night, no one's going to see, and I already know where I'm going, and they're going to say yes, and I've already got the people. You can tell I've done this before. Like I've actually done this before, and I came back the next morning right before that. I made it across the street to get my stuff out, and the locksmith was showing up as my 2 friends and I were pushing my bags down the street. That was very dramatic sounding 10 years ago, but no longer than that. 13 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, I'm proud of that.
The other responses.
It's fight, flight, fawn, fatigue, freeze. I don't remember the other 2, but they're associated with the C and the CPTSD.
Yeah,
So.
I consider myself an empath, and I don't know why anger is so much more comfortable. I guess it's whatever you're conditioned to believe is a more acceptable way to express your feelings as a child is what you're going to default to. And I know I've seen...
It's also the support. So you fight because you know people have your back. I fawn because I know that people don't have mine.
Ouch. Yeah.
When you don't have a support network, that's where the C comes in. When you have nowhere to go.
Flight on out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a tuck and roll when I do it. And it's funny because I feel like I should, you know, I seem like the type of person that I'm gonna like rear up and fight anybody. Nope, I get out of there.
That's probably safer. You know, it takes all kinds, right? Like usually I do more fighting for other people than anything else because I've befriended so many people who freeze. And I'm like, not today.
I'll be the one that boosts up my friends to do that. But in my response, it's usually, if it's not a nap first, it's definitely I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mine is definitely fighting when it comes to other people too. I don't freeze when it comes to other people.
Oh, mine is too, but that gets me in trouble as well. I'll be like, no, I got your back. We're going to do this. And then we show up and then they're like, oh, I don't know. MK was really pushing me to be here. And then they hide and I'm like, what? I made you want to leave this? What? Really? Because I'm omnipotent with all my superpowers. Talk to you like clearly. I mean, who could resist all of this, the MK-ness? I used the force to get you here. Anyway, but that happens. I get thrown under the bus. So it's taken years for me to be like, because not when no one had my back. So I was going to have everybody else's back. And then I'm like, I don't need to be in that business.
Yeah.
Shoot, I can do it here online by having a podcast, offering advice, bringing in people to let you know that you are not alone unless you just want to be. There's a reason I'm not going to show up and help you pack. There are professionals that we can call.
Lisa's certainly not alone for the foreseeable future.
Oh yeah.
But there's nothing else. Homegirl's got those cats, and she's got this miscellaneous person in her household that she wants to be a stranger.
The cats are the hard part. She doesn't want to leave the cats, and I get it.
What's that feeler? I mean, I wouldn't want to
leave my cats. No.
I mean, there's so many places there. I mean, that limits where you can go, and they can't leave the country. Yeah. They definitely can't with the cats. Like, they're just no. It's terrible. I mean, it's the sort of thing there is so much tragedy right now. This is just horrifying, and we can laugh at it because there's no danger. It's just like, oh my God.
It's just an annoyance, really, in the grand scheme of things. But it could be. I just understand like how annoying that's going to be. Do you remember War of the Roses? This is a really old movie reference. That it just makes me think of that. Yeah.
Tommy
Bless
King,
them.
you're like 28. You don't know that movie.
No, I don't. I was just gonna nod and smile and hope no one asked me about anything. I am 28.
You're like, yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know that
ooh,
one.
yep, sounds
Yeah.
good. What's the plot on that?
You've never seen a VCR or drunk a Coke out of a.
Well, I'm not that young. I
You saw
definitely
one
had a VCR.
But you didn't have an 8-track in your car.
Theater, the first movies I thought I saw in theaters was like The Lion King. So like that's where, yeah, that was the first movie, and I was 4 years old.
I feel like when I went to see that, I was at an age where I shouldn't even be going to see it. I think I was babysitting somebody as a cover. I was going to go anyway, but they were my cover.
Oh my God. Your cover. I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to be checking in on the hashtag Locked In Lisa. And if you have any advice for hashtag Free Lisa, put it in the comments in the video here. Write to us. We will share it with her. And we're going to be checking in with Lisa for every week until this crisis is ended or until she's out. We're scared him off, whichever comes first. I got plenty of ideas for scaring a human off. I'm good at that. I can't make people leave me alone, but I can make them not want to approach me in the first place. That's my gift to society, and I'm happy to share it. Thank you, ladies, for your input. Moving on, if you want to hang out, Dahlia, you're more than welcome to, because the next part that I wanted to do, and I haven't really had time to throw this together and formalize it to put it out yet, but I wanted to do, since none of us can travel at the moment, even if we're stuck at home, people we'd rather not be with 24/7 as opposed to a human we don't want to be with at all anymore. We can do a tour of the United States. A comment that I've heard a lot the past week and a half. It's a comment that gets louder as we're looking at school closures, and it's the cracks in our society are getting harder to overlook. Something I've said over and over when I hear a person start to ruminate, aka spin out, oh my gosh, there's so many people that are going to be impacted by the schools being closed. I'm like, that's not new. Economic vulnerability existed in October. It existed at Christmas. The bet you still got to stay home. There are ways to help, but don't, if what you're doing is thinking about it, is shaming yourself for having emotions, then that's how you're using this, then that's not healthy. And it's okay to not be okay. And you don't have to be the least fortunate person in order to be in a not good place. So don't use that to invalidate yourself. But if you want to help, let's talk about ways you can help. So at least like you can check something off the list and feel like you did something, because that is a very American thing. We always got to feel like we're doing something. Yay, us. So I thought if we did a virtual tour of the United States, we could start with one city where I do happen to know one person, two people who are actively working year round, doing the good work of trying to close some of these accessibility and economic vulnerability gaps. Tiff McDuffie of Purposeful Play and her friend Emerald of Diverse Dining. Take it away, Tiff. Tell us about what you're doing and what you're caring about right now.
Hey, everybody. So thank you all. Thank you, MK, for welcoming me back into your community. Everybody who supported at the end of the year, we were able to use the contributions to contribute to the purchase of a bus. Yay! Yay! So we are excited. The kids were excited to get new wheels. It has a DVD player, so they got wheels and entertainment. They're like all the way turned up. And we were able to get kids out active, having fun, and to having safe access to recreation after school and on days out of school, thanks to your contribution. So thank you. So now, I mean, we're always out here trying to flex our superpower wings and save the world for kids and help them get a growth mindset and all those things. And so at this time, it's really no different. We are considered a Purposeful Play as one of the essential services that is still allowed to operate during this time. The children, we always serve children ages 5 to 13 after school and on days out of school. Right now, we got lots and lots of days out of school. Some kids were already slated to go on spring break, but others were not until April 13th. So right now, we are servicing kids daily. The governor has put a limit on it to about 50 kids, and so and 10 adults. We right now I just have about 20 to 25 ish per day, and just 2 or 3 coaches on board every day. So those children, their parents typically are like working in nursing homes, or they are in law enforcement or firefighters, or they work at banks. So they work at some place that is also providing an essential service, and just grateful to be able to provide that continuing service. Another thing I was thinking right before I got on this call is, there are tons of people who have paid for the service, or the state has paid on their behalf for the service for this month. And yet because they're off work, they have chosen to keep their kids at home. And so it's admirable to me, because in the midst of all of these people complaining, like, I don't know what to do with my kids, there are some people who are hunkering down with their kids when they have an option to send them. They have credit to send them to us, and they could just be pushing it off and making it someone else's problem, but they really are holding near and dear to their children, using this time to connect more, using resources that we've provided to get physical in the house, and not necessarily do they're not doing social distancing. We're like banishing social distancing and calling it physical distancing, because now more than ever, we really need to be connected. So they're doing FaceTime. We're doing FaceTime videos and workouts and sharing things in our Facebook groups. And so really just making sure that we're getting really, really social while keeping physical distance. So that's kind of like what's happening at Purposeful Play right now. So still tons of games, movies. We were still getting out to the park every day, but they closed the parks down, which I guess I understand, because I heard people in New York were like gathering and having barbecues and stuff. And so that was kind of crazy. Or they're like in Miami Beach. I mean, I am kind of down with the thought that if I die, I want to die having fun, but you're not going to die. It's unlikely that you're going to die. It's likely that you're going to infect yourself and pass it on to someone else. So it's a time for us to be really responsible. So we stopped that, but we are still taking so we have a building that we run programming out of. So the kids are kind of still keeping their distances. If anyone dares sneeze or coughs, we dab, gets to go to the inside of the elbow. We're doing the soul clap as everybody washes their hands to make sure we get our 20 seconds in. So we got a little rhythm clap, something to keep it fun and get it exciting as we bear with these new times, having tons of open-ended conversations with kids about what it is, what it means, who can get it, making sure that they're not associating it with a certain race or nationality or segment of the population of people. We're reading crazy stories about people who are being, having racist views and attacking one Asian people. And so just talking to the kids about how when people attack all Black people, how do you feel? So you can't have this thing that it's all Asian. This is not an Asian disease. This is a pandemic, which means it's gone across the world. And no matter where it started, as far as we know, you can't just attack. So just having really big conversations with our little people, which is something that we always pride ourselves on, and just to give them an open floor to let them know that their voices are heard, that their concerns do matter. And I think oftentimes, and I talked about this a ton, that adults, not the adults on this podcast, but adults in general, but maybe. Let me find out. No, but maybe adults look at kids like, you don't have any problems. You don't have to pay the bills. You don't have no worries. Sit down, do what I said. You're not even in school. School is your only job. All these things. When kids do, they're people. They're just little people. So they do have, very valid concerns and fears and, just thoughts that need to be able to be expressed. That's how we discover their personal passions. That's how we figure out what's important to them. That's how we build empathy. That's how we build problem solvers and creative thinkers and innovators who can, create change. Another really cool thing that we're doing is that we're journaling every day. So Emerald, shout out to Emerald for that. So just so that they can talk about again, expressing their emotions, but it's not only helping with how they feel, but it's also helping with their writing skills. So we're trying to bake in the education in a way that's fun. And so that they're getting their bit of literacy that way, as well as, the regular, we have a bunch of games that always did encompass math, or when we're doing our crafts, where they're still sports based, but maybe we're labeling our muscles and talking about our immune system more. Or if we're doing science, the experiments are just more geared to understanding health and wellness overall. And so it's really cool to be able to teach in a way that's fun and engaging. It's still getting the job done, but it's a bit different than learning in school. And everybody has a job. So we got chores, and the goal is just to, take those lessons from the court and take them back to their communities, their classrooms, and their homes whenever they do open. I'm amazed to hear how many kids are saying, like, I miss school. Last week, y'all didn't want to go to school. Now y'all miss school. So it's
But
like,
that's exactly how that works.
it's
True.
like you don't miss what you got till it's gone, literally. And so just helping them to recognize these times where they, because it's boring to just sit at home, and every parent is not either educated, motivated, or, has the patience to deal with what teachers do every day. And so I also think it's been a great opportunity to push information to our parents about the value with which we should hold our educators. The response that these educators have had, my kids attend a private school. So again, I speak from a bit of a place of privilege, but how quickly they have hopped on and converted their entire curriculums to curriculi, however you say it the proper way, to an e-learning space, and how they're just really dedicated to making sure that they send home packets initially. And they're like, wait, don't do those because the state won't count them as teachable hours. We need to deliver the information in this way. And so just a shout out to all of the educators who really, that you have to have a passion for that work, period. And the fact that they are getting innovative and making sure that our young people don't go awry is just like another way in which we always promote parent engagement in the schools, and kind of using our program to bridge that gap between the parents' needs, wants, and desires, and what the support that the schools are looking for. But so just pushing that narrative so that the parents can get an elevated respect for what the teachers do every day is also one of our initiatives. We have not yet made a decision to go live, but I'm very good at I've always done all this collaboration. And so rather than recreating the wheel, I'm just trying to, starting on Monday, I'm going to use my bank of resources to just push information out that already exists. And I'm going to pull out some of what I think are the very best ones. And then we may go out and do some lives. But at this point, people know that if I'm recommending it, it's something worth looking at. And, I do a ton of research. There's no need for the parents to have to go find good resources. So that's pretty much it. I could talk forever. So I'm going to pause there. That's what's happening at Purposeful Play. Personally, and very exciting, I recently released a book, my first book in a 5-book series. It's called Blurry Brown Eyes. It is a
Can you share a link?
Yep, the link is
just looking for it, and I'm like, dang it.
Should I type it or
type it or paste it if you have it ready to go? Yes, please share it. Either way.
Put it there. I'm throwing it in the chat, so hopefully people can be able to see that. But it's just blurrybrownyes.com. And it's a kid's book about vision, resilience, confidence, and overcoming challenges, kind of like getting the voices of naysayers out of their heads and pursuing their big dreams. And so I'm very proud of that. It will be the first of a 5-book series. At Kent Play, we have what's called the 5-Finger Pledge. And it's kind of like how we establish what the environment here looks like. And so setting a vision or casting a vision for yourself, that's what people do at the beginning of the year. That's what we do at the beginning of every season. At the beginning of the summer, the kids, we have this big goal wall, and they say, what do you want your summer to look like? And some kids may write, they want to be able to swim. Tons of kids will be like, we just want to go to Six Flags. But we create this ladder that says, okay, here's the big goal. And then what are your steps to get you there? So you can't just create this goal. We don't just do vision boards for the fact of doing them. We're going to write out our goals, and then we're going to all have individual steps on what it's going to take to get us there. And again, when adults think of kids, you think I wrote my vision board for this year, and I want to, I want my kids to do this, and I want my husband to do this, and I want, blah, blah, blah. But we don't think that our kids should also have that growth mindset now, so that they don't get 21 or in college and now they have to think about goal setting. It's something they can start. We have 5-year-olds who are writing, casting their vision at the beginning of each season. And we're looking at that each week. And so this book is really just the first in, that 5-Finger Pledge series of helping big people have big conversations with little people. And so again, it's Blurry Brown Eyes. Because of this pandemic, we have, if you buy it from that website, so blurrybrownyes.com, and you click on, this makes it a little bit more less user friendly. But if you click on bulk purchase, I added a one book purchase option. And if you purchase it from that link, we're able to tell that you purchased it, and 20% of that purchase can go towards sponsoring summer camp for a child that can't afford summer camp. Or, because you can have two options, or if you purchase one book, you can designate a family that you want the second book to go to. And we'll be able to track you if you use that link. It's also available on Amazon, Walmart, and Barnes & Noble. But if you buy it from any of those places, I can't see who you are, so we can't do it. So which way you want to buy it, we're here for it, blurrybrownyes.com. But if you purchase it under the bulk purchase link and just select one copy or 10, if you're willing to bless 10 families, we will match each one of those with a book, either to a child that we know is in need or is looking for some turned up literacy, or 20% of their purchase can go towards summer camp. So we would love your support in helping, what we say, kids determine what their big dreams are and then helping them catch them. So those are a few of the things that we have going on this season. We are so getting close socially and just distancing physically, and we know this will pass.
The grocery stores will have food once more.
And tissue.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if and only if people will stop hoarding. It may, sorry, I was looking at fitness protection. Oh, can you hear your voice, MK?
As scary as it is, yes. We're going to be putting that link on the site as well. We're going to be sharing it far and wide. And we're going to be encouraging everyone to make this purchase, buy one of these books, and we can help these children that Tiffany has devoted basically her life to year round. She was doing it before Corona. She'll be doing it after Corona. But if you've only just noticed because of Corona, great. We will take that attention towards something good. We'll just take whatever we can get. Yay, us.
What's the reading level of the book? Like, who's the target kid?
I say, so we service kids ages 5 to 13. I think the lesson in the book is relevant across all ages. I think that it is
grown-ups who need it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that from so I would say K-5 to 5th grade is really most ideal, whereas K-5 and first graders, it would be something the parents will be reading to them. So it does have some larger words like confidence, resilience, but that's an opportunity to explain what those words mean. They talk about how they build prisons for children based on their 3rd grade reading levels. And so another initiative that we had going on before this Corona thing happened was to have people sponsor what we call read, plan, and play parties. And so for 3rd grade classrooms. And the goal with that was that if they see an author come to their classroom and the book is being read to them, then they're more like excited about it. And by seeing Black and brown children in books more represented, which is what most of the schools that we go to have as their population, they are more excited to pick up the book and read, and they're more excited to hear about the topics. And so we were using it in conjunction with their PBIS initiatives. It's like positive behavior. I don't know what the I is for, but intervention system, something like that. And so we would go out and we would read the book, and then we would help them do these planning, like create the vision plans. And then if a certain percentage of the classroom reached their goals, then we would come back and do a pop-up play day. So it would be like camp play in their classroom for a day, kind of as the prize. And so we were reaching out to local business owners to sponsor book purchases for the 3rd grade classrooms across a number of schools. They could either choose the school, or we would choose a school either in Milwaukee and Chicago to go and do that at, because you can't be creating jails for babies based on their 3rd grade read levels. Like, that's a no-go.
Wow.
So ideally,
that's horrifying.
It's horrible. The whole cradle to prison pipeline is a real thing. And so we are pushing against it every single day. And sometimes, and I've said this, and educators always look at me like, but sometimes school is boring. And so
sometimes, it's like if you are reading above the reading level of the kids you're with, it's always boring. In my experience, school was always boring. And when I got to college, I'm like, this is the pace that I needed the whole time. You made me sit there for 12 years to do something I could have done in 7.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we want to make it fun. You know what I mean? Like, and I have been I'm a CPA by trade, but along the route to figuring out what I wanted to do with this business, I I went to sub in the schools because I didn't know exactly what age I wanted to serve. And so for me, going in and being able to see how you act, what you think, what's your problem, what that was very eye-opening for me. And so we realized there are so many like sad kids, like just hopeless kids. It's like, I don't remember it being that way. Like my mom was by like all the stuff I've like got degrees on and read about in books in terms of education. It was like she was born with it. It's so weird. It's like, it's really so weird. So I recognize that what she did for me, and, she would wake me up like, good morning, sunshine. You are Tiffany. You are that girl. And I would just be looking at her like,
I love
you're
it.
so weird.
I have only seen your mom through her comments on Facebook, and I totally can visualize that.
I love that.
Should we
You
say
are
it?
that
She's
girl.
like, you are that girl, and this is like, you would think this is like when you're 7, right? But no, I graduated from college, I think at like 20, and I got my first corporate job, and I would be traveling for work, and she'd be dropping me off at the airport, and she'd be like, you are Tiffany, you are that. Like, I'm 22. Like, I know, mama, I know I'm that girl. So it's funny because in the book,
It's wonderful.
his mom is like one of his main cheerleaders, and she's saying like every night she's saying like dream big. And so when he gets discouraged about what he's trying to do, and one night she's like, dream, he's like, big, mama, I know, dream big. And I was thinking like, that's my mom all day long. Like, you are like Tiffany Star. Like, that's not my name. I'm Tiffany Yvonne, but okay. So it's so funny because like when I am discouraged about something, I try not to call my mom because I'm like, she just gonna say I can do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Sometimes we don't need to be encouraged.
I just want to go for reality. And so it's so funny. Like I could tell so many stories, but I remember graduating from college, and I graduated in 98. I feel like I'm so old, but there's
How old were you, Nakia? 10.
She was 4 when Lion King came out. So
7.
7. Oh my goodness.
yeah, so I graduated from college in 98, and I remember all of my friends were getting these and I worked all through college. So I had like internships every year. I think even my freshman year I may have worked. And so Arthur Andersen at that time was the #1 accounting firm in the nation. And I wanted to work for them. I'm like, I want to graduate and work for #1. Like I'm and so
I remember Arthur Andersen. I feel old now.
Before
God,
the drama,
yeah.
right?
Before the drama.
Yep. And
That's my sophomore year. College.
And so then what happened? So they required that you have like a A- as your GPA. And I probably had like a B-, you know what I mean? And so I remember going into that interview, and they was kind of like, first of all, how did you slip through the cracks? And B, like, why are you here? And I was just like, well, the people you'll hire, they may have straight A's, but they don't have this real world experience. And, they'll crack under pressure because they've been so stringent. But I've had to have to go to work, and I've had to, do these things, which makes me a more well-rounded candidate. And they hired me. You know what I mean? It was unbelievable. Nobody else did. And so I remember thinking like, Mom, they're going to give me a low offer because of my grade. Like I'm that person who's always thinking about the next problem and the next problem, like you said. So not just for other people, but for myself. All my friends were getting offers for like 26,000, this thousand. And I was like, they're starting at 40,000. I want them to offer me for it. She was like, it's yours. And I was just looking at her like, would you stop doing that? And then I got that offer letter, and it said like 42,000. And I was just like, it's mine, so it really is like a mindset thing. And so
you got to have the confidence of a mediocre white man. This is mine.
The world is mine. The world is mine. And so that's what I want my kids at Camp Play to know. Like the world is theirs. And
I
so
love it.
That's why I wrote this book. And that's why you should buy the book. BlurryBrownEyes.com.
Which is, I say that not to like bring everything back to Lindy West, even though I think everything can and really should go back to Ijeoma Oluo and Lindy West. I love the both of them so much. But the confidence of a mediocre white man is really hard to articulate. It's we all know exactly what I'm talking about because you've seen it and experienced it. It's just like, wow, people just talk themselves into. You have to be borderline delusional, like just so there's
You
no
just have to
question
be raised
here.
without questioning, without constantly being trained to question yourself. Because when you see any child,
Or having
we're
your
all
tone
born
policed.
with that confidence.
Mhm.
Like, you don't see a child look like they experience any shame when they have a bodily function happen in a room full of people. They're like, yeah, I took a massive dump in my diaper, and what? I'm wonderful. Don't you know? I'm wonderful.
Yeah.
So if no one takes that away from you, that's the default. And they're
Mhm.
lucky enough, some of them, not all of them, to have had the experience of not having people tear that away from them. They lose
Yeah.
other things, like they're not allowed to show vulnerability and stuff. But yeah, people don't constantly tell them, question the way you say things, question the way you reason, question blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. And it's interesting because I lately have had conflicted feelings about the concept of people accepting their white privilege, because everybody has access to privilege of different kinds.
Mhm.
I think we all should be cognizant of our privilege. But the flip side of that is understanding that other people have greater resilience and
Mhm.
have greater freedoms in some areas that maybe you don't have as a privileged person in some areas. So earlier this week, I was talking to MK about how somebody had checked her on something. And I'm like, who are they? Like, do people just constantly try and check you on every single thing you say? Like,
Mhm.
I don't feel like I experienced
Constantly.
that much as a Black woman. Like, people may want to check me.
But they know
But-
better.
Thank you. So that's a blessing. I can't even imagine. And then you hear it in some of the things that some of the coaching clients say, like, oh, I feel like you gave me permission. And I'm like, permission for what? Your grown ass doesn't do what you want to do when you want to do it. Like, my husband gives me pushback all the time. I know, you're grown. But that's something that I grew up seeing grown Black women say, like, I don't know who you're talking to, I'm grown. And I was like, yeah, once I'm a grown up, that's what I'm gonna say. And I do all the time.
Well, when you think about the trope of the angry Black woman, right? When we break that down, what does that mean and what do we talk about? It's everyone's kind of scared of the angry Black woman, right? Because that fear is legitimate. That's not questioned. The angry white woman, they're just like, oh, her, God,
That-
why is she here?
Well, what it means
Right,
is that we
she's
didn't
gonna want a
respond
discount,
well
like-
enough to that training that
You know,
women
no one
shouldn't
takes
have a
our anger
voice.
seriously.
Mm.
And
No
we're
one
just
takes my
assertive.
anger seriously. It's just like, MK, you're so volatile. I'm like, did you see what just happened? I know, but your reaction is just, it's really hard for me to do anything. But you're a police officer. Like, I've been in
Yeah.
that situation.
But
But you're just so angry. This isn't working for you.
Well, and it's so funny because I understand. I used to really worry about appearing like too angry, and I would check myself. And then I was like, who am I doing this for? And the respectability politics of it all doesn't resonate with me. And that's some old people stuff that I've been trying to let go of. Like, for the sake of safety, that's something that people of color had to do
Absolutely.
before me. But I'm not really worried about well, let me, I'm not
Right.
worried about anybody coming to get me.
Names are bland.
I know, right? For getting out of line. So I don't think I need to play those games anymore. There's a really cool, has anybody seen on Netflix, Olivia, what is her name? There's a new show. It's all about a true character who was like the richest Black woman in America.
Hey, Walker, Madison.
Yes. Have you seen it yet?
I
It's
haven't,
phenomenal.
I've told-
100% worth the time.
I was told.
Amazing.
I was
Amazing.
I
told
have
every-
watched Frozen 2 and onward 17 times. No, I haven't.
No, we're
Tell me
cutting
about-
over to self-made around Madam CJ Walker. Let's.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was mind-boggling how much they nailed so many concepts. I'm like, okay, should someone born in 1981 feel like I know what they're talking about with all of this? That's how much some of this stuff has been passed on, because she was born like right when people were being emancipated. How come I still know exactly what she's talking about when it comes to good hair and, control your emotions? What are you allowed to express? You have to behave. You have to be a respectable Negro, stuff like that. But the beauty of just being able to be self-aware and work on your own personal development, you can start to see these patterns and you can opt out if they're not serving you anymore. If they're no longer necessary, maybe somebody taught them to you to try and protect you for a monster that is no longer present.
Very true. When Emerald had a diverse dining, I'm gonna let her tell her own story, but she had a dinner last month.
Way to transition.
And no, well, I wasn't making it. I just wanted it's
I know, we woke you up
relevant.
from your nap. I'm so sorry, Emerald. We woke you up to talk for like 90 minutes and not include you in the conversation.
You'll
I'm
be
so
fine.
sorry.
She's
like,
she's still muted. I think she's muted.
I'll fix it. No, she isn't. She's not muted.
We can't hear you though. Unmute yourself. No.
She's not muted.
Take your headphones out. Just use your regular audio. But she had a nope. It's the privilege. We're not allowing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you
Oh
now.
my God. I had a lot to say, and I don't think you guys heard probably any of it. So
No.
but that's okay. I'm here. I'm woke.
That's so funny.
Go ahead, Tiff.
So last month she had a why am I echoing? Am I echoing to you guys?
It's because Dahlia wasn't muted. But
Oh,
she is. Finally, Dahlia. Shit, no, sorry.
So she had a dinner last month about incarceration and disparities in incarceration and the effects of incarceration on different groups of people, blah, blah, blah. And the speaker, who was one of the best ones that I've heard, like he was really, really good. He talked about these, how he was behind physical bars and how he had these real physical, real limitations on his movements, on his time, on his abilities to accomplish things, and how he talked about, and I don't think he called it jailhouse rock, but that's what I call it. Like when people who are in jail send you these letters about all the things they're going to do when they get home, you're just like, yeah. And so, because when they get home and then they still do the same stuff, you just be like, what happened? Everything we talked about. But he was saying how he just could not believe once he got home, how the people who were in the free world had these same invisible prisons around them, how we would talk about all the things we were going to accomplish and all the things we were going to do. We're not physically bound. We don't have people telling us when to wake up, when to eat, when to sleep. We have freedom to accomplish things, and we're still imprisoned. People still don't get the thing done. And so I think that I haven't watched the movie yet, but like 4 people have been like, go watch the series. My kids have taken over the TV, but But seriously, it's like we create these boundaries around ourselves. So, MK, you can be as angry as you want, and we.
No, it's still not going to help me.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about how the reason I've grown into and am just full MK 24/7 all the time now is facilitated by my marriage to, and it's like, Alex, you go tell them. You go to that doctor right now because I know this kid has a cough. I'm not taking him to the dentist. Last time I went to the dentist, they were like, your kid's fine and wouldn't even clean his teeth. Oh my God. So it's a situation. I already know where I'm going to get the pushback in the no. I just make my husband do it. Because the one person who cares about my anger, because he has to deal with it, is the one I'm married to. And thank God he actually likes me for reasons passing understanding. Like at the same time, he completely has my back. And that is one of the reasons why it kind of, if we were a fraction, he negates the MK-ness as long as I don't come along.
Here for it. I need me a white male BFF. I'm on it.
I'm just telling you.
I tell you,
good
we
man.
sell models like a dummy that you can take in with you.
Oof. We're gonna get you a clone,
maybe like a inflatable white dude that attaches to himself or something.
You put it in your car.
I'm with him.
An inflatable Chad is what you need.
There you go.
Just kind of France Chad out there.
We'll make billions.
Take him out front.
We need to
That would be really comical to see and have. That might be a whole movement.
That'll be fitness protection, like the ultimate protection as a white man. You can now have one, Chad, inflatable Chad, inside of your car, the shield on his badge here. Oh my God. Yes, we're going to start manufacturing those. Allison, I'm going to call you about manufacturing in China as soon as you get out of quarantine. Oh my gosh. So diverse dining. What is it? Where is it? How can we support it? And you, Emerald?
All right. I'm really still seething with anger from knowing my microphone has not been working this whole time, even though I got on early to test it out. So that's okay. Maybe I'll have another time to talk more about Locked In. I was gonna call her Lucy, but
you know what?
I don't think that's it.
Locked In
So
Lisa. You know what? But do you have the voice note? If you've been recording your own track on your end with then we have everything you said and it'll pop up in the podcast.
Unfortunately, I didn't think it was time for me to do that either, but I'm doing it now. So
no.
We're
Didn't
gonna
you think
start.
it was weird that like we kept ignoring you?
No, well, I was like, I did a little bit. I was like, they rude. But it's okay. I'll talk to Tiff about it later. I don't know them.
Oh my god!
I'm so sorry.
I did.
I didn't see your mouth moving.
Can we get a quick synopsis of what you're feeling? No, I really want to hear.
Message her, but it was.
You're like, these girls are awful.
I really, honestly, I felt like you guys were really passionate, and I was agreeing with a lot of what you said, so I was really. I was okay with it, but I was slightly like, dang, y'all not even gonna check for understanding? Like,
Oh my God.
I'm trying to jump in here. So anywho,
Oh my god! And I didn't hear you saying anything, so I was just like,
that's
"Oh my
okay.
god!"
You
I'm
couldn't
gonna
hear
have
me
to find.
because my headphones. But it's
Oh no.
You know, sidebar. I'm gonna shift and talk about diversity, and I'm gonna come back to this conversation if we have any time left.
We'll make it. We'll make it.
I just was like, they probably think I'm so dead and boring. I'm like,
I was thinking, like, why she not talking?
I knew.
I was like,
knew
we did wake
Tiffany
her
was.
up. We
I'm
did
like,
wake
I
her up
had
from her
to
nap.
hear.
It's not fair.
No,
Oh my god!
I have personality. I'm Tiff's friend. So anyway, my name is Emerald. I'm the founder of Diverse Dining, which is the organization I started actually unofficially about 2 years ago around this time. So I just turned 40. I just turned 40 and I just turned 40 on the 19th. And so 2 years ago, a little bit after my 38th birthday at the time, I decided to gather a group of different friends together of diverse backgrounds at a Vietnamese restaurant. And we learned a little bit about the Vietnamese culture, the food, and had conversations about, just our own different barriers. I forget what the topic was at that time, but it was infused all around experiencing the Vietnamese culture and their food. And so I decided to do my first kind of test experience with my friends and family because I felt like they would be honest if it sucked. And they all had a good time. And so roughly about 2 months after that, I put the event public and live. Tiffany actually, because I was, trying to make sure I did everything the way that I, needed to do and had all of these different things that I felt like I needed to do. Tiffany actually picked up the phone and called another partner restaurant and asked for me because I was procrastinating with doing it. And so after that, from June 2018 till now, we've hosted a monthly dinner conversation at various different restaurants around the city because Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I live, is the most segregated city in the United States. And it is something that you can feel and see. And so we have, for the last almost 2 years, hosted these monthly conversations, bringing the community together over food while they learn about each other, but also learn about a culture or a particular population that has been dehumanized in some way or another, that they learn about them over that dining experience. So I create custom like icebreakers, activities, games, and then we have a discussion portion, which lasts about 45 minutes during the dinner where people really get to some deep questions and conversations within themselves. I recently in July of this year left my full-time employer because I also do trainings for companies, which my background is in public health and training and facilitating. So now I do diverse dining for organizations as well, as a diversity inclusion training or just a human resource training of a sort to kind of help break through the barriers that happen in the workplace just as often, if not more often, than they do in the community. So that's a very short version of what I've done. Tiffany talked about one of the conversations we had. Our most recent one was on incarceration, and the guy, Ed Hennings, who was our guest speaker for that segment, spent 20 years in prison. But he came out, and I do love how he gave a very different narrative about how he had the bars removed while he was in prison, and he had the bars removed when he got out of prison, and he's been able to still do some phenomenal things in his life. I think that it shifted I think people were coming to the dinner expecting to be, I don't want to say empathy, to express empathy, but more so to express pity. And I think that they walked away with a call to do more, but still in a respect way, in a respect manner, which is really our goal, to humanize people during these interactions. We also have had dinners at Syrian restaurants where they talked about what's going on in Syria, and how they've had to escape it and be here. We've had it at a variety of different places. I said Vietnamese. I can name several others. What we are doing now, and as you can tell from my experience with you guys online, is I hate on being online. I'm adjusting. I'm adjusting because this is what is happening with the world. But it's hard for me. Like, I want to give you a hug. I want to be sitting on a couch next to you and having a conversation.
No, you don't. Did you hear what I said about the couch earlier?
Okay, so everybody except MK. I want to be sitting on the couch next to you. MK, we would be in the room next to each other, but we still can talk.
I'll wear pants.
But yeah, so this is hard. I'm learning to adjust as far as transferring some stuff virtually, because I know people still desire some connection, and desire this connection, and like me are probably suffering and struggling with the fact that they have to be locked up like Lisa, whether they're with the person or not. For me, it's been really challenging. So I am in the process of working with another large organization here to do some virtual dining experiences, which hopefully I turn my mic on for.
I was gonna say, it'd be really cool if we could do a dining experience. Now that you've done this, we could do it this way again. We could make an event in the Facebook group, do it to maybe, I don't know, fundraise for, we never did buy the whole bus, but if there's another organization, we could all pull resources together, do a virtual online diverse dinner. If you wanted to bring a person in, we could, we've got a Facebook group now of like 720 people. Before I came in here, I'm still like, I don't know how that happened, but if we could even get like a 10th of them interested in to show up and to pay, ask them, if you learned anything and found this good, contribute $5, we might be able to do something good.
Yeah, I have some really creative mechanisms, because it is, I definitely want to help continue to support Tiffany's bus, but this is my bread and butter. So we are working on ways to make it valuable for people, like they get a recipe, they get a live cooking session or something. So $5, that may be great, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Yes, we are going to have a dining experience, and I'm going to hope that it's worth their time. That everybody walks away and says it was worth my time, even though I still struggle with the whole idea of not being as close to people as I would like to. So I think that is, Tiffany, I know you're gonna probably tell me if I'm forgetting anything, but I think that is the gist of it. I'm short with what we're doing, but yeah, if you have any questions, I can answer.
Well, I thought it was interesting that you said that Milwaukee is the most segregated city in the country, which is wild, because I feel like a lot of people, like when people say something like that, you always you think back to either where you're from or where you're currently living. You're like, yeah, it's pretty segregated. Like, even though there's clearly been efforts made, or gentrification, it kind of, it's just interesting, because it's like, I think we all can key into a place where we're like, yeah, definitely some segregation, and there can still be some cross collaborations, not only with just people, but also with different cultures and foods, and so I like that idea.
Yeah, thank you. And go ahead, Tiff.
I'm out. So this is my side hustle, is business strategy, and for budding, emerging entrepreneurs. I hate when people say startup, but I think that
startups are funded.
Startups are funded. It's a fact. And so so she hates this, but I'm so excited for this for her, because it is allowing her to broaden her reach. She has talked about diverse dining in other cities. She don't got to be ready. She just got to go do it, right?
That's right.
Think about whatever people might, MK might say, start with a $5 donation, and some people will throw 50, 500. You never know what it would be. And so just, they might just say, oh, I have a restaurant in XYZ city. whenever you're ready, you come here and we will host one for you. So you never know the opportunity that could, just by broadening the reach. And MK is out in Denver, but she has a huge population in Wisconsin. And the stat about Wisconsin being the most segregated in the nation, like it's a real national stat. Like it's not like just something that we say. So wherever you think you are, that you think is really segregated, like Milwaukee is worse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because this is something I'm just thinking, again, out loud, because I was in bed for 2 years, so I had to figure out how to be present in all kinds of places where I couldn't physically show up. Being basically short-term disability, broadened the way I look at things, and it absolutely included online. So what I was thinking was, it's like rehab book clubs right now. Everybody's like, I can't leave the house. Well, I couldn't come to an event if you had one. So how about if you made a theme? I don't know if it's Syrian. You find the Syrian person, you come up with the Syrian recipe, send it to me. I've got a designer. We'll make the design up. We'll create the event. Have people make this dinner in advance, or don't. No one cares. It's about like having something in your hand as a reference with your information on it that tells your story. We put it out there, and then people can have an experience of what you do, practice with that, and then you can broaden your reach. So when you do have a dinner, you can broadcast it. You can have people coming in. You can you never know who's watching, but if you give them the opportunity to participate, you never know who's going to show up. Right. So, I didn't mean what you said, but $5.
It wasn't. I wasn't meaning it in the. Hopefully, it wasn't. I didn't mean it in the shade at all. I just.
I'm not making a dinner.
I wasn't a nonprofit.
I get it.
It wasn't. Tiffany will tell you I am not. Well, she already said that I throw shade, but it wasn't.
I already ignored you for an hour on this podcast, so you kind of deserve anything you want to throw at me. I'll take it.
That wasn't it. And I really was just saying that I want to. I mean, I am. What you said, MK, is really literally what I'm in the process of working on. So I want it to be a real thing for people.
She would love to collaborate. That's what she's. Yeah, I'm her PR person.
Well, I was going to elaborate more. Emerald, never tell a helper that you want to do something if you're not ready to do it that week, because then they're going to give you all these solutions. And
not that Dahlia has any experience with this, but
Will's already determined.
I'm like, I'm still procrastinating. Yep. And MK's like, let's do it.
Yeah, we already have a lot of recipe cards from our past dinners that are already. I mean, we could start with utilizing those. We used to give people recipe cards at dinners. People didn't really make them afterwards, but that was kind of a thing to take this away from your experience. And
I'm just telling you, one of the things that I'm learning with this Facebook group that I started randomly on Monday night was that people actually do cook. I don't understand them, but I coach them, and I love them. I just don't get it because it's not what my kids are too little and my kitchen's too tiny. I don't know, and I don't like doing dishes. But anyway, dish pan hands, I can't do it. But you see how many people we have cooking, Dahlia. If you gave them a recipe and said everyone make this recipe ahead of time, they would do it. Dahlia would demonstrate and do a live stream in the group and on Instagram, being like, look what I'm making, and tag you in it. It would be, we'd all share it and do watch parties.
I'm down. I wasn't saying no. I wasn't saying no at all. I'm definitely down.
I know you weren't, because I wouldn't let you.
Wait,
we are being recorded. Your petty is not appreciated at this particular time. We can have this conversation when I get off of the phone, but for the purpose of the podcast, to who knows whoever, I need you to be respectful.
They need to know that we're real people. They should get off.
So since you're not too excited about technology, is there any social media that you do really like? Are you on Instagram and you love it? Or
let me tell you, that is such a great question. I love you with your questions. Can you just come with? I love her with her questions. Okay, so let me tell you, I usually have been using Facebook just because it's been easy. But I will tell you. So yesterday, somebody tagged that it was a party going on, a DJ party with DJ Nice.
I watched it.
Yes, I did too. And so I went on Instagram for I have an Instagram for Diverse Dining, but somebody else is doing it and I don't be on there. But I was on there with this music and I was like, oh my God, I love Instagram. And people have been telling me that I would, but I just didn't have time. I'd much rather you come over for coffee or whatever, which is, me resisting I have so much to say, but okay. Anyway, so I'm loving Instagram, and since I have all this time, I will spend some more time on it to just figure out what more I can do on it, because I was like, oh my God. And especially to be in a room with just like everybody around the world and these conversations, like Facebook are all like my people or my people's people. And so Instagram was like immediately like whoever you wanted to talk to, wherever they were. So I'm working on learning more about that platform and connecting more with it. And I just liked it. I had so much fun at the DJ party last night too. I like turned on my speaker and was down here cleaning up my office, phase 1 of cleaning up my office and jamming to the music. So yeah, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, but I do plan on transitioning more to Instagram just personally as well.
What's your handle there?
So it's For Diverse Dining on all of them, on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then I have I'll just leave that on there. So look For Diverse Dining. I will.
So it's the number.
Okay, 4. I see you. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So what we can do now, though, she does have gift cards available for purchase for Diverse Dining. And so if people are interested in sponsoring a gift card to assist in someone else attending, or maybe Emerald can repurpose the gift cards to like give out as a prize for one of these virtual dinners that we're going to do, or something to that effect. But gift cards are available on the website, is also fordiversedining.com, and
right?
Is it fordiversedining.com is the website?
Yep. And then all the handles are For Diverse Dining too.
Yep. And so that way,
picture.
That way, she can also support the restaurants. So I think in addition to whatever is going to end up happening virtually, if she can get into connection with someone who is still delivering foods, then maybe there can be an option to have like, a certain restaurant deliver a number of meals locally in whatever area, so that everybody, for the people who can't cook, maybe, because sometimes she does draw an older crowd. It's amazing. You'll come inside and there'll be like people who are 70 and people who are 17 in the same room. So it's not just diversity across nationalities, but also across age, across gender. And so, I remember in the beginning, even though I was really motivating her, I was just like, we're going to just pay you to eat together. And she's like, yeah, because true connection happens. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. Let's see what happens. And so you get in the room. And I mean, even personally, I have met so many people that I wouldn't have ordinarily talked to walking down the street. They wouldn't have talked to me. And so it's really, really been great to watch it grow and develop. And I love it. We've done a few for kids also, kind of like turning the tables, where we allow the parents, we encourage the parents to put on their listening ears and the kids get to speak. I was telling MK yesterday, one of my favorites was at a radio station, and there was little girl who was white, and she was just like very open in her talking about her parental concerns. And if you know Black parents, like Black kids usually know what they better not say in public. And so it's so funny because that cultural divide was just opened up. Like she was like, well, my grandmother has brought me, and my parents are divorcing, and so that's kind of rough because if they argue, and all the Black kids was looking at her like, she gonna get it.
And listen. Now, since I can talk and I know my mic works, I'm gonna interject. That may be a good another opportunity for a virtual dinner. That if we do, with kids being out of school right now, that and Tiff, with what she's doing here in Milwaukee, maybe we could have a conversation of, like how are we having these conversations around the dinner table since we're back at the dinner table, and then how do we connect with other people? I know that's a big. Those kid dinners that we did where we focus on that age group was really big for parents, because a lot of them say, well, I want my kids to have a diverse network of people, even if I can do with just keeping my level of friends that I always had, it's not going to kill me, but I do want my children to experience some level of diversity. So being able to have those virtual dinner conversations where they're connecting with their family, but then they're also, maybe meeting another family. What's going on with the table across the country? What's going on with the table across the city? And then another thing that I would add, hold that thought. No. I appreciate you being my PR though. She is such my PR. She is my PR all day, every day. I must say, for real. This is not just for this.
Good.
But anyway, I was gonna say for the gift cards too, we can, depending on the cities that respond or get involved, we can make it do a tour and come there later on when we can visit and travel and host an in-person session with the people who are already tuning in. I think that one of the benefits of the technology is we can build more relationship because it's easier for people to connect regularly, where my dinners, we had about a 60% return rate of people coming back, but my dinners were once a month. And so it was still difficult. Like they wouldn't always come back to the next dinner. They may come back to a third, the fifth dinner or the seventh dinner, where we're virtually, it'll be easier for people to connect. And then they can really feel like they know each other. So by the time we get in person, that connection has already been, pretty established. So there are benefits of it. It's out of my comfort zone, and I'm just adjusting and evolving and learning how to use the mute button, but we'll get through that.
Well, I'm just saying, this is how when Tiff and I met, we hadn't been in the same room together until she came to my house the day after I had nasal sinus surgery. So I'm laid out on painkillers on my couch. It's like, hi. It was amazing. But we had met in online sessions through our publicist multiple times already. So I firmly believe it is possible to foster those same connections without like being in a Zoom conference specifically. The fact that this is all happening right now is like proof positive that it can be done.
I used to think that you couldn't form strong connections remotely, but that was just me being an 80s baby. I remember I literally got that question
80s
wrong.
baby. 80s baby. Stop it. I'm the oldest person here. I am the oldest. I am 42.
I am 42.
Very soon.
Am I 42?
You're lying about that.
How
You are
old
not
am I?
42. You
I
are
was born
not
in
42.
47, 80s baby,
My God.
I was born in 77. Am I 42 or 43? I'm 42. I'll be
What year
43.
is this? Okay.
The only thing I was going to say about the kids' dinner is that my kid has actually, my 10-year-old learned to cook over this break. Like, so he made his first, like he made a grilled cheese. He's made like sausage in the morning for his sisters. So a kid's thing might be a thing. And right now behind this little,
Wells would love that. He would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I know he would.
behind this little screen, they're dying to get in here. So, so they would love to do a kids one. That's all
I would love if your kids have time for them to come in and do a tutorial for other kids. Because I'm going to do kids cooking sessions, but it's really more like for little kids, because I like to keep the recipes so simple that I can do them. So, but maybe your son has more advanced stuff he wants to share with the older kids.
Well, my kids saw you making the overnight oats, and they were like, "Let's show her how we use the microwave, Mommy." I'm like, "I think that would be amazing. Yes, let's show her how we make breakfast in the microwave." So that will be coming as a response.
Overnight oats sound good. I'm getting hungry.
You've inspired our house, Talia.
That's funny.
I love that they're so willing to share and so eager to share. Like, that's so sweet. So other parents or other moms have all this shame about their microwave meals, and they're like, "Oh, I have some information to share with you." And who knows, it may be our favorite breakfast after they teach it to us.
You know, it might be. They wanted to share their knowledge. I am raising,
and they actually can do something more self-sufficient instead of waiting for us to do it for them.
Well, I think that's
the benefit for parents.
That's what they're most excited about. The microwave is tall. My oldest kid is 8. I've got 4 under 8, no twins. So the fact that they have figured out how to work together, because they need somebody to two of them have to undo the step stool. One of them has to hold it while one climbs, and then they pass the food. I mean, we're it's teamwork here at the MK. So my kids go to a shitty homeschool, but they have learned some teamwork.
Every day.
We get the job done.
That's right. That's right. They're alive.
That's
honestly, that's the goal. Keeping everybody alive and clothed and fed. Like, that's the plan.
Right.
Coach winning at life.
Someone had a meme that they sent that said, name your kids, replace your coworker as your kids. Like, say my coworkers are whatever your kids are doing. And I was like, my coworkers are walking past my screen. Like, every time I get on the Zoom, usually Like they come past my screen to like see what's going on. You know, the nosy coworker that is like has absolutely nothing to do but just keeps going past the screen. If you're really working or on Facebook or what's going on. So
But
Well,
anything
how
you're
old are
doing.
your kids? Or is it just one?
So 9 and the 9-year-old is the one who's the screen watcher, and then the other is 16. gonna
Oh,
be
well,
17.
they can run your streams for you. Where
Yeah.
are they? They should have told you
They're on
that Mike
TikTok.
was a nun.
I don't know. I guess
She
I
needs
need
new kids like
Put 'em
Lisa
to
needs new
work.
friends. She hiding
Right.
from them in a
working
baby.
on being a parent not being a parent that Coach Tiff talked about earlier. It's like, please leave me alone. I'm on the phone. Yeah, I'll work on that.
I don't know. I'm still that parent too. I'm that parent. I was that
Me
roommate.
too.
I'm that parent. I don't know. It is what it is. It's amazing that I've managed to fail upward in this world, but here we all are together. I'm so grateful to you ladies for sharing your time and all your knowledge. Lacked in Lisa, I'm sure as well. I cannot wait to plan a diverse dining dinner online. I mean, that sounds so much better than a book club, especially if I can make this dinner in the microwave or have my kids make it in the microwave and brag about that. Like, look what we got going on over here. Yay, us.
We're gonna deliver you. We're gonna get you a delivery.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah.
No microwave dinners.
No,
Maybe
my-
steamers.
Or even something prepackaged that you can put in the oven at least, and then take it out the oven.
Yeah.
You got a timer.
as long as I don't have to like assemble it or cook it, because again, my kitchen is pretty small, and there's always someone like, "What are you doing? Is it hot?" And I'm like, I had one hand get burnt once, and I was just like, "Nope, I'm too fragile. I can't handle this." Like kissing her fingers all night. I'm like, "Nope, we're just not. We're gonna avoid the stove for like 6 years and figure it out."
That's good to know, like various different levels of what people will need, because we want to be able to like let everybody be able to eat. Like, so we need a take and bake, we need a delivery, we need a whatever. So
We're gonna have
Take
a
and bake, I
standard
love that.
wine, a standard wine. that Everybody can. Oh, well, damn, we can't go get. Oh, we can go get wine.
Yes, we
Uh-huh.
yeah,
can.
we're not in
Yeah.
Italy yet.
Trader Joe's is still
It's
open.
wine is still on the essential services list.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wine, beer, and the
That's
ABC
just
store, at least
smart.
in Virginia.
Thank
You can
you.
still get to the ABC store.
Thank you. Well, we went through the drive-through at the liquor store the other day because, why wouldn't
Why not?
you?
Why wouldn't you?
Felt very safe.
What
It
a
was
time to be
good.
alive.
We ordered takeout from a Mexican restaurant. They can do drinks in a cup now. And so we were like, well, I don't feel like it's a lot of work I'm really lazy, y'all. I mean, I was like, it's a lot of work to get the salt on the rim. They do margaritas. Yes, they did.
Ooh.
And they
The
put
salt on the rim,
salt
like
in
delivered. It was great.
Where? What? Who's this? What
Wow.
place?
You'll
is
owe me
this?
a mimosa.
That's Colorado,
I'll
though.
take a
With
margarita.
Virginia, not
Colorado.
Texas.
Not every state has done it, but like liquor in a cup, a lot of states are doing it now. And I'm like, it's
Smart.
amazing. Why
If it
not?
saves the economy, why not?
No ice.
Yeah, smart. No ice.
No ice.
Doing my part always. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Well, I'm
MK.
gonna all of this. Thank you. I love all of you so much, especially
Thank you.
like, I mean, good gracious. The fact that any of you still talk to me it blows my mind every day. I grabbed Nakia. I saw a picture on Instagram and reached out and was like, really want to coach you because this is what happened to you is wrong. And that's how we got started. I showed up I wanted to meet a proper dietitian at a conference. So I was like, well, I'm just going to roll on up to like the Fat Podcasters lunch, and that won't be weird. That's where I met Dahlia, and that was fantastic.
I think it's funny did you know that the dietitian would probably self-identify as fat, or the universe just led you there?
I don't trust skinny people when it comes to recipes or nutrition. I just
There
don't.
you go.
And as a woman who microwaves everything, like,
We
yeah,
don't have to fix that, MK.
no, I'm good. I'm good.
Just get your kids to do it. Seriously, I don't understand the concept of mom not being the queen of the house, because we all had to cook, and I know it wasn't good at first, but she hung in there and was like, hey, Monday through Wednesday, it's y'all. We did all the dishes. We did all the, once we could
Oh, they're
walk
too
around.
little. They're too little. MK's kids are too little.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. That 8-year-old,
She could just man the house and for all of them kids.
She would if I'd let her. I mean, the reason I have 4 is because I started off with the Cheyenne. She is amazing. I love that kid. I've tried
Is she
really
the one who-
hard.
Is she the
who
one
what?
who came in who said, like, you know, I don't mean to disturb you, but somebody's playing with your red bottomed shoes?
Mhm.
I
Okay.
feel confident she could make dinner.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Quite
The thing
simple.
is, like when she gets praised, she always wants to do more of that thing. And I'm so careful not to put more responsibility on her. Like I came downstairs this morning, she's like, Mom, I made breakfast for everyone. I'm like, don't you ever do that again. I love you. I do. But she wants to do everything for them. And then they're just like Cheyenne, and she's so excited to help. And it's not like I want to kill that part in her, but that she is me, y'all.
No,
She is
kill it now. Kill it now.
I know. I want
I'm
to
the
kill it before
oldest
she
of
starts
4.
dating.
Okay,
Let's
so
do it now.
sidebar, super duper sidebar. So it was called the Fat Podcasters Group.
Oh, yeah, it was a meetup. Well, it was crazy. People went crazy in the Hoover app, like the conference app, and created any meetup you could think of because you got points. Not everybody did it for this reason, but I was doing it for this reason at first. You got points every time you did some kind of social interaction on the app, and you got extra points for meetups. So I was like, what's every possible little group of people I could think of? I was setting up those meetups, buddy, trying to get my points for a free ticket for the next year. And the person who set up the Fat Podcaster Group, that was just one of many extremely niche meetups.
Was it was it offensive?
No, because
No.
it was a fat person who she's into fat liberation and she calls herself, I think she says she's a super fat because there are different
Super fat,
levels. So she is at a point where if she goes to a restaurant and all the chairs have arms on them, that is a barrier for her. So she's an advocate for people who can't go where they want to go and do what they want to do because people keep pretending they don't know that America is fat. So
or we're not using the word fat. And some people like, don't want to be called fat, and that's fine. But it's also not necessarily a pejorative. Like if you can use it as a pejorative, just like any other word to describe a person from, toenail color to skin color. But like this one in particular, I've been doing a lot of work on body liberation in the past year. So I wanted to be around people who are more comfortable with the word fat. Hence, when I saw the title Black Pot, now I see like the Hot Black Women meetup. I'm like, I probably don't belong in that space. I knew not to go there, but I will blow up the fat person space.
Well, and it was funny because I'm still in several of people from that meetup. And
me too.
Yeah, I self-identify as fat. I just feel like it's the same as saying my hair is black. Like it's a descriptor to me. I don't feel bad about being fat. It is what it is.
I don't think you're fat. I think it's so in camp we could not call people fat. Because like we have to dump this because kids do not
they're way more sensitive.
I think it's good to redefine the word though, because people are gonna always say it. You know what I'm saying? Like kids are gonna say it to each other to be mean, or they're gonna say it, like if a kid could take ownership of like I'm fat and what? Like
exactly.
it just give them ownership.
I like that a bit because I do have some kids who I have tons. So we've had kids who've come to us, who coaches, not necessarily mine, but not necessarily not mine, have been like, is she gonna make, we walk 100 miles in 100 days. Can she make it? And I'm just like, hey. Because we've had kids come to us insulin dependent and leave us no longer taking insulin because they've gotten some regularity of activity and they just had to be exposed to how to be active and allow it to be fun instead of run because you fat. It's like go and play and have fun.
Yes,
and this will help regulate your body. But I'm just very
But that's the complication really that comes along with it, is that the assumption that fat is a choice. And if you just did a little more and worked a little harder, you wouldn't be fat. So there's a moral assumption that's baked into it that I'm determined to.
If running marathons didn't make me skinny, it's not happening.
Right. It's so interesting because everybody's body is so different. And as a dietitian, what I want people to know who are in bigger bodies is that if you are interested in experiencing better health, you don't have to be skinny to experience better health.
I agree.
So like that kid with the insulin resistance, the physical activity was the difference. And maybe their body changed as well because they're also growing. So kids, their weights can fluctuate a lot. But a lot of adults who are fat, that's what it's going to be. And sometimes people are basically told, well, you can't be healthy, you're going to die early, blah blah blah, unless you become thin, when in reality it's a lot of times it's within your reach, but people keep telling you that thinness equals health, and it doesn't.
Agreed. I agree.
Yeah. Because it's all I know is that when I showed up there, I was like, there are two people I need. I need a nutritionist, and if I leave this convention, I need a nutritionist for my company, and I need a mental health expert of some sort that's who happens to be trauma informed. Bonus if they're not white and skinny, but you can't put that in a job application, I think. So it's just better to go hunting. That I was raised doing, so I can do it with people in public. So I'm just it's finding out where I can insert myself without being, right. So first of all, who is not totally like repulsed by me and has what I'm looking for. So when I met Dahlia and I'm like, oh, you're fun to talk to. Oh, and you're a dietitian? Can I have your card? Thanks. We're going to be best friends. You don't know it yet. It won't be weird. And then the mental health expert, after I gave a talk on a panel, came up and was like, you were just amazing. I'm like, what's your name? Oh, and you're a therapist? We're going to be best friends. It won't be weird. You're going to love it. We're going to talk every Sunday night. And it really has just worked out that way. So yay. Yeah.
For real.
I didn't tell you we were going to be best friends, Tiff. I just let you figure that out.
When you guys put that picture together, I thought you went way back to like the Tennessee days.
Oh, Lord, no. She was holding me up because I was on so many painkillers.
That was so funny.
Like, we're in the sunlight. I'm sweating. Ugh. Amazing. It was amazing.
We have fun, though.
We do. And Nakia, too. I've been training her one-on-one now since October, and you are just a freaking delight. Everything you do delights me so much. And then your pictures are just so cute. And like, it just, I love it. I love it when, the space, since I got married to a big white man and been leaning more into myself, the things that the universe has thrown my way have just all been incredible and people just lovely. And I feel so blessed to have four of you on this really wild ranging conversation tonight that has absolutely nothing to do with running.
I was gonna say one more. What's your intuition saying? Just
my intuition. Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I think you're going to see a whole lot of me, whether you like it or not.
All right. I like it. I like anybody who can be themselves. To be honest, it's a great thing.
It took a while to get here, but I ain't leaving.
Amen.
Yeah,
That's true.
Important thing.
True. I'm excited to get this dinner together, get more diversity in front of people. Or just have more conversations with more people.
Yes.
Because I can think of one person who's going to need it a lot right now. Locked in Lisa. Lisa needs a diversity dinner. She needs like a dinner club to get through. Like I said, it's much more interesting than a book club, but we're just going to take it all one day at a time. Yay! Thank you. I'll go ahead and let y'all run since I've kept you. I said it was going to be like an hour. Yeah, I don't mean to lie. I mean well. I always do. It just never works out that way. Feel free to jump off if you want. Now, I've only got three other questions to answer tonight and ask the coach. So the rest of this podcast is going to go. Thank you for giving me content. Otherwise, it would have been 10 minutes long.
Bye.
Love all of you.
Love you
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And don't forget any links that you want promoted. I've got the link to the book. Check the comments. Send it to me. We'll make sure in the podcast show notes too.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, ladies. Yay. Thank you. Here we're going to wrap it up relatively quickly. Maybe not. Who knows? I haven't seen the other questions yet. I got stuck on this first one from Friday night. So here we go. We only have, we've got a few winning at life. So we'd like to say happy birthday, Katie Hansen. Happy birthday to you. That was amazing birthday cake. I hope it tasted as good as it looked. I'd like to say congratulations to Amy Wilson. Amy passed a wound care certification exam and is now a WCC CHRN. I don't know how to pronounce that or what that is, but I think it has to do with wound care. And it's probably hard because nursing is hard. If you have not hugged a nurse today, you don't need to because you got to stay 4 to 6 feet away from people, but you do and can and should tell a nurse how much you care. If you don't know any nurses, start with Amy Wilson. She is in a couple of our Facebook groups and say, congratulations on passing your wound care certification exam. She celebrated that big win with Tot Waffles. And that is definitely winning at life. Way to go, Amy. If you don't know what Tot Waffles are, I think we need to talk about that and fix that in Facebook pages. Erin, congratulations, Erin. She managed to avoid surgery. Her poor dog's bowel obstruction earlier this week, and he is not yet back to normal. They went on a hike before finishing up their spring planting. That is a whole lot for a day. And Nakia, she made a fancy breakfast, and if she was still here, she could tell us about it. But you know what? This whole night is not going according to plan, so she can tell us about it later. It looked amazing. In case y'all missed that, I make all my dinners in a microwave, so they are never fancy. They're about as fancy as Jimmy Dean's Delights can possibly make them. So can you talk a little bit about form? I know a while ago you discussed and explained the hinge at the hip, but I've also heard we're supposed to keep the booty tucked to engage the glutes. Not sure how these can coexist simultaneously. Well, no, I mean, all I ever have to say about form, there is one cue, and that's lock your cage. I have a video on YouTube. I can link to it in the show notes and in the comments a little bit later. But all I care about when it comes to form is that you draw your shoulder blades. If you think about trying to draw your armpits towards each other, not your elbows, but your armpits themselves, and draw your shoulder blades closer to each other, that will cause your TVA to engage and keep you upright. And that's really the only form cue we need, because when your cage is locked, you cannot overstride, you can't go too fast, and you cannot do the sorts of motions that would lead to overloading your shins and your hips. Now, when it comes to hinging at the hip, that's a more advanced form cue, which is not to say that's not where you are. But broadly and generally speaking, 98% of runners who are not professionals don't really have to worry about that so much. We do hip hinges in order to recruit, activate, and engage those muscles that do lead to good form. But the more form is absolutely a function of strength, and the more that you do trying to work on the form without addressing the strength that facilitates good form, you're really just kind of wasting your time. And I really don't encourage that at all. We will be doing a couple of moves, strength moves tomorrow, trying to generate some endorphins. Aha. Like that. Yay. INDOOR, endorphins. We're going to be doing that in the quarantine Facebook group. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but no, don't think when I give form cues, that's why I only give one. If your cage is locked, your booty will be tucked. It should be implicit. If you think about tucking your booty, you're going to hyperextend your back in a way that's not going to lead anywhere good, because people with any cue, they tend to overcorrect. So all of my form cues have been designed so that they cannot be possibly comfortably or for very long overcorrected. And I can't think of a single one that would have to do with the booty tuck. So yeah, just keep locking your cage. Try not to worry about it. And do, if you've been told that your glutes aren't firing, then we need to focus on the strength to recruit those muscles to keep that happening without you having to think much about it. Next question. I'm finding myself being much more sedentary than usual since I've been working from home. Do you have any suggestions of ways to incorporate more movement into my day? I honestly, it depends on your setup. You can see, if you're watching for the live stream, you won't be able to see so much in the podcast, but I do most of my work from an upstairs bedroom in my house. So I try to get as much of my me time done early in the morning so that when I come in here, I bring my lunch, I bring a snack. I would put a fridge in here if I had the room, but I don't. And I only leave here to go to the bathroom and come back. So when I'm in my office, I do all the stuff that requires 100% of my bandwidth. And I try to make sure that I have like my run before I come in here. So I'm not distracted and a little bit, frankly, petulant that, well, if I'm not done by here, then I'm not going to have time to see the kids. And then I'm not going to have time for my run. And the longer I put that off, the less likely my run is to happen. So that is why I structure things the way that I do. So if you are able to, I'm not the sort of person that's going to say, go take a walk every 30 minutes, because you know what, if I did that, I'd get mobbed when I went downstairs and I wouldn't be able to come back into this room. So think about how your day needs to be structured. And I know that there's no perfect answer. And then again, I'm saying all this from place of privilege because we still have the nanny and she's still coming. So to that end, I have my husband here. I've got two other adults in the house, and we can work things so there are trade-offs, and there's always somebody with the children and they don't feel deprived, and neither do I. If that is not your reality, it is worth trying to sit down with a partner to make that happen, or see what you need to do to ensure that at least you get a little bit of time to yourself before your work day would happen, and then a little bit afterward. And if you have to work with your kids in the room, God bless you. I know that's got to be, I cannot imagine how hard that is, but if that is your case and your kids are little, then we're going to have to need to let go of some expectations and not be too hard on yourself right now, because trying to live and do and produce the way that we were before, it's not going to happen. Effectively, a lot of us are having 3 full-time jobs simultaneously during this coronavirus. So, and there's this horrible marketing campaign going around about the quarantine 15. And if you're thinking about that too, and if that's implicitly baked into your question, you got to stop. You got to stop. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for it to talk about the freshman 15. It's not healthy to think about the quarantine 15. The last thing you need to be worried about right now is other ways to feel like a failure if you come out of this changed in any way. And whether your body is bigger or smaller has nothing survived and managed through this period with kids at home and work to do and a global pandemic raging outside with effectively, depending on what city you're in, you could, if I have no idea who submitted this question, but if you're in one of the lockdown cities, that's an additional complication on top of this, especially if you can't have groceries delivered like we can't have done anymore in Denver. So yeah, there's a lot of work that has to be done. And I would advocate not specifically for movement because sitting is bad and this is bad and you want to do the right thing. I will always advocate for self-care as much as you can get whenever you need it throughout the day. It is going to be hard while we settle into a normal. I know that in Denver, they have not yet sorted out online learning, and for good reason, because it is really hard. And if anyone's complaining, like, I don't know why they have this sorted out yet, I'd like you to look me in the face and say that, because it's going to be partially due to kids like mine, kids with special needs, kids who are physically disabled, kids who need more assistance. They have to create and provide a seamless experience for everyone. And that includes kids who need a lot of services, as well as children who do not have access to things like computers, technology, and the internet in their own homes. So trying to provide an equal experience for everyone is going to take more than a week. So if they're not ready yet, I get that it's frustrating, but careful how you complain about that, because I truly believe that these people are, that the administrators are all doing the best they can. And the problems they're trying to solve are complex, and they're trying to talk about those problems without throwing special needs children and the disabled under the bus, because those kids already get enough of a hard time for sucking resources out of the system as though they deserve less for needing more. To that end, and once we are all effectively able to, we have received and have been assigned homeschool lessons, maybe that will add a little more structure to the day. Maybe that'll make the day a little more complicated. I don't know exactly how that's going to shake out, but until we are in a place where a routine can be set, you're just going to take it day by day, take the self-care when you can. If all you're doing is going into the bathroom, looking for my strength videos and trying to do what you can in one plane of motion, awesome. If you need to talk in and check, awesome. But let that movement be whatever feeds your soul a little bit. Even if you only have a moment to bend over and touch your toes and you are able to take that moment to clear your head, cool. That might be all you get in a day, but I want you to take it whenever you can and not judge yourself for what you got. Any feeling of anger or frustration that you have is totally valid, but do take a minute to think about why you're so frustrated. And for most of us, if we can, the reason that we get frustrated is because we don't have time left for ourselves in the day. So let's try to make more time for ourselves and for movement, whatever kind of movement we want, in a way that's going to make this entire situation easier to bear and a little more pleasant. So it's not about the right answer. It's about the right answer for you. And I'd like you to look inside and try to find that. So that's probably not the answer you're looking for, but that is my suggestion for incorporating movement into the day. I could give you a canned boilerplate answer like you should stand up and do a side twist in your chair every few minutes, but I don't know, man. If I did that to myself, it broke my concentration. I wouldn't be able to I've got such a short period of time where I can work without children around me, and I can't be bothered. And if some days it's 3 hours, some days it's 6, and I might sit here and do nothing but work for 6 hours. But when that happens, I'm certainly not thinking about interrupting it to move. I try to get the movement beforehand and afterwards. So we can find a way that works for you with your constraints as well. Number 3, and this is the final question. Can you talk a little bit about flexibility and the heart rate cap with the stress of what's going on? I would suspect that there are days that a run on 150 is just what our minds and bodies and souls need. Training plan, HR cap, et cetera, be damned, especially as most of us don't have races coming up soon. So this is that final piece. When the reason the 140 cap historically has existed was the fact that the first time I stood on a track with a team to coach, none of them had any idea what easy effort was. And as soon as I realized that, I was horrified at how hard they were working. I was seeing people who were desperately overtrained running 12 miles a week. And the level of overtrain, the level of strain on their body, I might have been normal if they were running 120 miles per week. So that is how hard they were working themselves into the ground. And that is where the 140 cap comes from. I wouldn't say like you need to hold on to it and you got to do, if I want you to take, if you just want to take 2 days a week and run your heart out and do whatever you want to do, make it a yellow run, great. Do that. But do be careful and be cognizant, because if you do that every day, you're going to be right back where you were before we started working together. And that's the last thing I want for you. The another thing, it makes me so angry when people are to say like, oh, running is my therapy. I'm like, nope, therapy is my therapy. Running is my self-care. And if you run because it's therapy, then you are probably actually beating your body up. You're distracting yourself from the problems you don't want to think about. You are taking your stress out on your body. That is not care. That is not therapy. That's abuse. And I'd really rather you didn't. And if that's what you're going to do, you're not ever going to do it with my permission. That said, I want you to listen to your body. That's where the whole word intuition comes in. Intuition is listening to your own signals. And I know it can sound like I'm doing intuitive training. I'm not saying throw the plan away. I'm saying you can run between 30 and 60 minutes, 6 days a week, easily, if you keep that cap under 140. As long as you show up and you're cognizant and you're paying attention to your body, go get what you need to get, but also be aware. If you look back over your training log and you realize that you did 5 runs this week with an average heart rate of 165 each, congratulations. I don't know how you got there, because that's 5 really hard runs that would have me like hungry and sick afterwards. But also take stock of how you feel, because if in a time of stress, then your body is not really going to differentiate between the stress, the physical strain and that you're putting on it versus the psychological stress of what's going on around us right now. So do find some way to make time for yourself every day. And remember when you're out there that running is self-care, and that running really, really hard might make you feel better, but that better is going to be fleeting, just like online shopping, just like a drink, just like a drug. And if you treat running like a distraction to clear your mind, then you've just turned it into any vice that you would probably advise your children to stay away from. And I'd really, really like to avoid that if at all possible. In times of stress, this is when the vices come out and everything's healthy until it isn't anymore. I would advise you, if you need to let the cap go for a bit, cool, but let's be cognizant about when we do it. Think of it like an escape or a release valve. Pick 2 days a week and make those your release days where you just kind of YOLO things. And if you want to make that Monday, Thursday, awesome. Monday, Friday, cool. Tuesday, Saturday, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. We just need to not do 2 hard runs back to back. That's a really good practice and habit to get into. Finally, if you find yourself every single day wanting to run really, really hard, that is a pretty good sign that you don't need to do that, that what you do need to do is find some other way to manage these emotions. And right now, all kinds of therapists are getting all kinds of permission. Ohio is really leading the way in this. It's incredible to watch what they're doing, making it possible and to streamline the process for online mental health support and care. So ask your provider. If you don't have a provider, now's a really great time to go look for one. But remember that therapy is therapy. Running is self-care. And it can also be abuse. And we'd rather not it become abusive. Not on my watch. I love you too much for you to do that to yourself. All of you, your coach, your love, you're winning at life. Thank you for showing up, participating in this extra long, and I still think incredibly interesting episode of Ask Away, where we only managed to talk about the running for, I think, exactly 12 minutes out of 100 or so. Take care. Have a great week.